After the pledge, we're going to have a moment of silence, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence. A former employee of the town, former tax receiver of taxes, Carmelina Messina, passed away. And I'd just like to recognize her passing with a moment of silence. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to start off the public comment on agenda items only, but since there's really nothing on our agenda, gentlemen, did you have something to bring to the meeting? If you would just stand up to the microphone and tell me who you are. And
First off, good evening to everyone. I'm Eric Wilson.
Elijah Talley.
And
okay, gentlemen, you can.
we're former West Point cadets, former faculty members at West Point. I've lived in Fort Montgomery for a time period, out in Peekskill, and we're looking at investing back into this community since it's given so much to us since we were cadets and members of the faculty. In particular, we're looking at a place on Snyder Avenue, and we just wanted to come and introduce ourselves and let the council know that we're excited about this potential opportunity. I don't know if you want to add anything.
Yeah, so I know I look young, but class of 2016, so not so long ago, I just graduated from that place, and having the town of Highland Falls right here where I could come and kind of decompress. I know some of my classmates get a little wild from time to time, but really just to come and kind of decompress and get away from that, it meant a lot to me. So, talking to my colleague, it means a lot for us to be able to stand here in front of you guys and introduce ourselves and also consider investing back in the community. So thank you for your time. We just wanted to say, hi.
Okay, well, I have a question right off the bat. Are you both active duty military now?
Currently, yes.
You're both.
I've just transitioned out. I currently work for Deloitte.
So you're not active duty military?
Not anymore.
Okay.
I served 12 years as an infantry officer.
So did I, but not as an officer. It's funny, he mentions 12 years. And do you have anything in mind that you would like to do with the town, for the town?
Yeah, so specifically, we're looking at the Side Street Saloon. Had a conversation with Loma, I'm sure you all know. She's been in the community for 13 years now. And just walked through the place. Again, as not so long ago, I remember like Wing Wednesdays and going down there and having a really good time. And I know some hardship kind of fell on her, and it was an opportunity for her to, kind of offload the place and us for investing in the community. So looking to pretty much bring that place back to life, and, see if we can't get some good food back pumping out of that place.
Just to, if you're not from New York, which I'm assuming you're not, but the reason I bring that up, in New York, we have towns and villages and cities, of course. And within the town, we have the village of Highland Falls, and then a no governmental thing, a hamlet of Fort Montgomery. So this town board is the entire town comes under us. Matter of fact, even West Point is in our town.
Oh.
But obviously, the federal government does what they do there. But the town, this board, does court, recreation, where am I missing? Court, recreation.
Police?
Well, but there's 2 police departments.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But
Building inspector, is that working?
yeah, the building. So if there's something that you look to do in the village, then, not that we won't help you or direct you or anything like that, and this gentleman here would probably do more than anybody. The village mayor, village board of trustees would be your go-to point. If it's outside the village, in the town, or in Fort Montgomery, or outside of the village of Highland Falls, then most certainly will direct you or do anything for you. So I really appreciate the thoughts of giving back. You know, that is very, very nice.
Yeah, I got a couple comments. So first of all, welcome. And thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, it really warms my heart to see some soon-to-be veterans and current veterans to come back and serve again in their own way, right? Because it's likely that if you accomplish what you're setting out to accomplish, you're probably going to have some military people as well as the community come there, right?
Yeah.
So that's a form of service, in my opinion. My colleague on the right here, Councilman Sullivan, could probably elaborate on anything that do with the board, with the building inspector and how that process works. Because I know that's a lot of times a sticking point for folks who want to start a new endeavor. Sometimes they don't understand that process. Maybe you can give them some insights on that.
Sure. So, while there is a separate town and village, we have a lot of other boards that are now combined, including the planning board, the zoning board of appeals, and the building department. That gives you one-stop shopping. The first stop you're gonna make is probably to see the building inspector, and he will kind of go through and tell you, do you need to go before the planning board, depending upon the magnitude and what our code says. Sometimes our code, if you're going to do a building modification in certain zones, like for example, R1R overlooking the Hudson, would require going before the planning board basically by default. He'll be able to direct you. His name is Phil Panawalt. He's here from 8 o'clock until 4:30 every day, right downstairs. That would be where you start at. And the planning board and zoning board hopefully don't need the zoning board, but if something didn't comply with our building code, you are afforded the opportunity to appeal to a zoning board of appeals and get an appeal after you go through the process. So that's kind of how it works. I hope that helps you to understand a little bit. Start with Phil Panawalt downstairs, our building inspector. His secretary's name is Jessica Walker. She's there every morning from 8, I think, until noontime. You call there, she's at extension 316, and that'll get you started.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
So one last thing from me is, so on the far left, if you haven't met him, is my other colleague who happens to be a veteran. So it's three of us up here, veterans, right here. All the way on the far left is Jim Modlin, West Point grad, if I remember correctly. PhD kind of guy who's a professor down at Seton Hall University. So he's a lot smarter than me, probably. And then you got the supervisor here, who is a Vietnam era veteran. That doesn't mean he's old by any means, all right? But it just means he served during that era honorably, 12 years, and then is an entrepreneur in his own right. So these other two smart guys here, they own businesses or have owned businesses. So we are a business-friendly community, I would say. And because you came and I'm the liaison to Veteran Services, I'm going to be keeping a close eye on this situation, okay?
Thank you.
So thank you guys again for what you're trying to do, what you have done, and what you will do.
Thank you.
And so I did not bring a card, but I'm going to give you my contact information. And we certainly need to talk. I heard about what you are planning on doing, and very excited about that. And so, reach out when it's a good time for you, and we can talk. In the capacity, a number of different capacities, but I'm also the liaison for businesses in the entire town. So
Bingo.
definitely want to help you with that. Welcome. I think it's a great idea. And I'm very interested in hearing from you all in terms of what you're thinking about doing and everything. So welcome back.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you.
He's
Thank
our
you, gentlemen.
former Chamber of Commerce president, by the way. I just wanted to chime in for Jim there. Former Chamber of Commerce. So use that number. Okay.
Thank you.
You
Thank
guys
you
don't
very
have to
much.
stay, though. Okay? You don't have to
Thank
stay.
you.
I know you're going to.
Thank you, Jim.
Good stuff.
Approval of the previous minutes from the Monday to May the 10th.
Motion?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Communications. I received a letter from Colleen Solon, who is offering her resignation. Effective July the 29th will be her last day as an employee of the town of Highlands. This will serve as my retirement date. It's been a pleasure to be an employee of the town of Highlands for 12 years and to manage the town of Highlands dial-a-bus and also helping the town of Highlands Recreation Department. I would like to thank my full-time driver, Deborah McCabe, for her dedication and support to the dial-a-bus operation. Thank you also to present and past recreation directors, controller's office, town maintenance department, town clerk's office, and many town employees I have the opportunity to meet. To the dial-a-bus riders, I will miss your call. I look forward to the next 2 months and passing information I have learned to the next dial-a-bus manager. Respectfully submitted, Colleen Solon. Do I have a motion to accept the resignation?
Motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. So at
Very
this...
dedicated employee.
Absolutely, absolutely.
We'll miss her. We absolutely will. Because I didn't worry about any of her reports and inspections and all that stuff.
Audits, the whole nine.
So we're looking for a new employee, for anyone who knows anyone. She works 20 hours a week. I won't say she sets her own hours, but currently she works from 10:30 to 2:30. And I'll skip the pay because I'm not sure what we would ask for a new employee. Sometimes a new employee going into a position that has earned raises from the old employee for 12 years, we may not want to offer that salary. Okay. I've got a lot of, even though there's nothing on the agenda, I've got an awful lot of paperwork here. And okay, we transferred into the paying account $28,728 to cover the June 2021 medical premiums. We transferred into the paying account $53,459 to cover this check run dated May the 20th. The big items are Royal Carding, $2,655 for sanitation landfill charges, $2,271 sanitation truck number 67 for vehicle maintenance, state controller $10,315 for court-collected fines, TAM Enterprises $2,146 for sludge removal, Rockland County Solid Waste $13,521 for sanitation landfill charges from April 16 to April the 30th. Before we go into the liaison reports, I'd kind of like to bring up something that I got from, and by the way, at the village meeting, 2 of our councilmen were at the last village meeting on Monday night, and if I say anything that is incorrect, I'd appreciate you correcting me, but I think I've got everything here. 20 years or so ago, the subject of a consolidation was brought up by the village government and/or the village residents. This has been brought up every few years since then. Last Monday at the village board meeting, it was discussed again. The mayor said he wants to know if the village PD is dissolved, what police coverage is the town going to provide the village? Town law requires the town to provide police coverage to all residents of the town, except where a village in the town provides its own coverage. I assure the residents of the village that the town is ready and able to provide adequate coverage to ensure the safety and the welfare of its residents. We have an extremely capable police chief, deputy police chief, and an extremely capable town board to handle this matter. I'm not worried about how we might cover the village and I can guarantee that it'll be covered, if not better than it is now, at least as well as it is now. Your police, anything to add to that?
Yeah, no, I think you said it very well. I think it's important to understand that the town encompasses the village of Highland Falls. So obviously, we would do what is necessary. And there are members of the town board that live in Highland Falls and are very concerned. And so it's, I think it's an obvious statement, and we have very capable people who can very easily pick this up.
Thank you. Ty, you were at the meeting. Is there anything that I didn't say?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. But I might go so far as to say, personally, from my experience has been here on the board for the last few years, that there's been periods of dysfunction of that force in the village to the point where almost inoperable. So to have a concern about what the town would be able to deliver is probably energy misplaced. I think the town has already proven itself over and over again that we have consistently backed up the village and, if necessary, are prepared to step in and pull full coverage. So I concur with your statement 100%.
Chief, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, sir, not this time.
Okay,
I'm sure we'll have quite a few discussions.
all right,
Absolutely.
okay.
Yes, sir.
Bob, the only thing I'd like to add is a town by default is there. And at a village meeting a while back, when a gentleman was given a proposal on doing his $14,000 or $28,000 study, he said something that was very key, is that you cannot have a police district unless it's like you said, the Village of Highland Falls polices himself. So the way towns work is the police currently is a district where not everybody on this town board pays for it, and I don't say that in a malicious way. I would enjoy seeing it turn to where the village people do help pay for it, and there's a few logistics we'd have to work out. There's space, and would you still have a part-time chief? Because we have a lot of part-time employees that we ask to do a whole lot for the cap that they have by retirement benefits, including Frank. So that's just keep it real in our considerations, and I believe in it, but there's some things that would have to be done.
And you can continue on your liaison report.
My turn?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't wind you enough? Okay. All right, so, in the building department, my bad, I mistakenly downloaded the March report, which I read last month, so no need to do that again. I will have that at our next meeting. Lately, there have been a few private boundary line disputes that are coming before the building inspector, and that's a private matter between people. They hire a surveyor. If something comes out of that where there's a conflict, that would usually find its way to a court. But I'm just, the building department is there to do what it does. Private boundary line disputes is not one of the town's purviews, I would say, or jurisdictions. If it has something like there's a building, the split between a line, I would think that would find its way to court. We've had quite a few of those come before the building department recently. The water district, a resident, I'm going to talk about boundary lines there too. A resident of the water district notified me up in Corbin Hill that the plant was 3 feet high, the grass is 3 feet high at the plant. So I called Pat, and I know you've been contacted also, Bob, and he told me on Friday that they cut it. And I just want to talk a bit about, true personnel manning. The highway department struggles to put a full crew together because we have a sanitation department that only has 4 people. There are people there that don't always come to work, so a highway person has to go over to that. Pat told me he's behind on all the grass cutting, and Corbin Hill was taken care of on Friday. And I was wondering if it was actually 3 feet high. The person that notified me said he went down with a tape measure and measured, and it was 3 feet high. So I'll take him at his word. What I want to lead into...
I'll stop you right there. I went up when it was 3 foot high.
Okay.
Yeah, it was not 3 foot high.
Okay.
That's beside.
Okay,
It
but-
was,
but
it was
whatever.
high.
Okay, so it's cut, and hopefully we can get back into that. Back at budget season, when we were talking about cemeteries, Pat had 2 part-time people. We got into some heavy discussion about cutting expenses, and he basically said, go ahead and keep the 34 grand, I won't bring in the guys. I don't know how he's doing. Maybe the answer is that he's not able to do it to the level that we would like to have, and that was part of the cuts we made last year. And there's always the option of hiring a private contractor. We did that a few years ago, and the contractors were not doing a very good job with the cemetery, so we threw them out. These are all things to be considered when we go into this budget season, because we're not able to keep up. That water tank that's up at Corbin Hill is something that the town took over not too long ago, historically, and it was a little bit before Justin's time. Corbin Hill was started back in the 80s, the mid-80s. It sat dormant for a good period of time. A new developer came in, and a deal was worked out by previous town boards 20 years ago, where for approximately $300,000, every pipe up there was replaced. And for $75,000, I have a copy of the agreement, there was a site set aside for a future water tank that has nothing to do with the existing tank. The future water tank would be equal to or slightly less in elevation to the tank in the village of Highland Falls for storage. It's been 15, 20 years. We've talked about having storage. I know it costs money. So this particular place where the high grass was, I'm just letting people know, and I've talked about it before, either this week or next week, a survey crew is going to go there. We have a fence up that's nowhere near the actual boundary line, and it's being encroached upon. So at some point in the future, there may be a future water tank there. That's where it's designated to be. And they're going to lay out where the property is at, and we're going to try and find money to put the fence where the actual boundary line is. So I don't want to upset people, but this is something I just explained, that the people in the water district paid for that 75 grand for that, and we need to have it delineated and figure out what we're going to do in the way of the future tank in the future. With the planning, other good news from Councilman Sullivan. I went to the planning board meeting. They have one matter that'll probably go to the zoning board of appeals. But before them were a few large projects. So what I want to say is the sewer plant is at 80% capacity right now. We know the trailer park is an outside user, and I don't want anybody to consider anybody to be an enemy. I'm going to go into that. But the couple of projects that were before the planning board, if they were to be built out, is going to put the sewer plant over the top, and that doesn't include next to your restaurant. So I know I've said I'm going to send out a year's worth of DMRs and all that, which I'm going to. We're going to have to get moving on working on a solution. I have had some conversation with a few people at the trailer park. They're aware that I'm talking about this. And what I also wanted to say is water in Fort Montgomery. Forgive me, I'm long-winded. There wouldn't be water in Fort Montgomery if it weren't for the trailer park. Way back in the 70s, they had a problem with, I'm going to come out and say it, high uranium content, and their water was not usable. At their own expense, they paid to extend the water main down to where they're at from the village of Highland Falls. The Holiday Inn in Fort Montgomery, which also has a project that's going on, is the only reason they got continued from the trailer park. They paid to get it extended down to their site. So both of these people have contributed greatly toward water being in Fort Montgomery. And from the Holiday Inn, it was continued down by town contribution, the MTBE lawsuit, and by grants, if I'm not mistaken, for part of it. So what I'm trying to get at is nobody needs to be mad or blame anybody for anything. We have something that we have to deal with. And, before the end of the year, I'm not saying a moratorium, we're going to have to come up with a plan and try and implement it. It's going to be a big project. And on the sewer, I know we're going to talk about that later on. We had some problems finishing out the dechlorination, which was the $300,000 project. There's something down there not functioning. We're working on that. And the other project, I haven't been down there in a week and a half, but the other project has been extended till August, if I'm not mistaken, and they're moving along on that. With the community choice aggregation, we had our first, what I'm going to call a steering committee meeting I Zoomed from down in your office. And on that committee, I can't speak enough about Mindy Kimball. Mindy Kimball is priceless in leading this charge, and that's to choose an administrator is our objective. Julia Hood, Lisa Young, Jane Oswald, Olga didn't attend that particular meeting. These are all the people, along with myself, that are going to basically get bids from I think it's going to be 4 plausible possible administrators, and narrow it down to what we believe to be the best choice. We're going to meet again in the middle of June. If I'm not mistaken, I think he said we have until the end of the year to do this. We're not going to wait until December to make, we'll be ready before then. But everybody had a chance to meet, and we're going to meet again, hit the ground running in the middle of June. And the other thing is Olga sent me a little message, and she asked me to, she sent an email, I think to just you and I, Bob, on a electric charging station down in Fort Montgomery. I'm not going to read everything down next to your restaurant and a lot down there. All I'm going to read is this one line. The project is valued at $35,120 with the cost of just $3,936 after applicable rebates. So I'll forward this to everybody, and we probably need to take a look at it. And I believe in it myself, and she wanted me to read that off because she couldn't be here tonight.
Okay,
And that's my report.
thank you, sir. On the survey, did you get a estimate?
I did.
On the survey?
1,500.
1,500 for the
Yep.
survey.
That'll come out of, there's about $40,000 in the Water District Number 2 budget. Part of that was for meters. And again, Pat Patterson's the only person installing meters. I think Ryan is now certified. He's way behind for the reasons I've just stated. So I don't think he's going to use all of that money this year for those meters. Part of that money can go to pay for that survey up at the tank.
Well, then, very quickly, I'll ask for a motion to allow, who was it doing the survey, Lankin Tully?
Lankin Tully.
Lankin Tully to do a survey of the lot where the proposed new water tank would go. That it would not, it'll cost upwards to $1,500, a maximum of $1,500. So I have a motion?
Could I just make it 1,600? In the event he has to reset a monument, there's going to be an extra $100 charge. So
All right.
1,600.
1,600.
Motion.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Okay. Thank you. Councilman King.
Good evening, everyone, and good evening, everyone at home. A few notes from me this evening. First and foremost, very exciting day. We have, I'd like everyone to join me in wishing a happy 94th birthday to Mrs. Lily Mims of Highlands, New York. Today's her birthday. She turned 94. I know most of us here probably know her, so happy birthday, Miss Mims, if you're at home and watching. Secondly, yes, I did attend the village board meeting on last Monday, and they addressed some specific questions to me, so I'll talk about those. One was the proposed recreation agreement that we have been talking about for several months in regards to the senior center and moving our recreation director and our almost former dial bus director down to the senior building to keep it open for more opportunity for our seniors to utilize that space. Well, the discussion by the village board resulted in the decision or conclusion that that was not going to be permissible. As the mayor stated to you and I, Supervisor, in our meeting, he stated publicly that it wasn't because he personally didn't want to see that happen. But the fact is that as of May 6th, he's received some letter from HUD, meaning the federal government, Housing and Urban Development, that states that that building could only be used for senior citizens, and then that it would not be permitted. Now, the letter may not state this verbatim, but his interpretation, as well as the majority of the board, was we can't make that move. So at the end of the day, there's really nothing to discuss about that. So I gave them my perspectives on it and some things to think about, but I do accept what that board's conclusion is at this point. The second thing is Bog Meadows. They talked about Bog Meadows and they looked at me probably because I'm the police liaison and asked, could they get help with more patrols at Bog Meadow? Now, forgive me, I'm not really familiar with Bog Meadows. Apparently there's an issue with some people up there throwing trash or something to that degree. They got village police doing more patrols and they asked for assistance from the town. Chief, you want to talk about?
Access to Bog Meadows to the gate at Round Pond. So if there's a concern, we can swing up there.
Okay.
What's the problem with that?
I've told them that before I even talked to you. So, there we go. Third, I had a great meeting this weekend in regards to Juneteenth planning. I'm happy to report to the community that I've formed a committee which includes Merv Livesey Jr., who's a member of the 124th Infantry Regiment. That's a reenactment type of organization from the Civil War era. I'm happy to have him on board, and I'm going to attend our Memorial Day program at Memorial Park, where I think they'll be present, and so I get a chance to possibly even talk to some of the other members. But great initiative once again by Merv Livesey Jr., who said he would support that wholeheartedly, and he has done that in the past already. Secondly, is a gentleman named Mr. Melvin Smith, former Department of Justice employee, retired, but president of the Buffalo Soldiers Association of West Point Motorcycle Club, the West Point chapter, that is. The West Point chapter, who has their meetings in our community at the American Legion. He is on board to assist, again, because he's participated in the past. But not only that, they intend to participate in our activities, specifically the parade. Third gentleman, who I just recently met, named Chris Holshek, who's a retired colonel, by the way, 30 years of service, was in civil affairs, so spent a lot of time in foreign countries, got a book out, Riding with Harley, alluding to his journey upon retiring. He jumps on his Harley and rides across country and stops along the way talking to people about some of his concerns about America and things of that nature. I thought it was very, very intriguing. But more importantly, he's a man who now, post-military, is really promoting this idea of service, particularly folks that are in the mature age group like us sitting here, reaching down and grabbing young people and coaching and mentoring them into service. So he came up with a great idea. I must attribute this idea to him, which was, okay, if the motorcycles are coming, they're not going to want to just ride from Southgate to Memorial Park. So how about having a motorcycle ride before we get here? But this particular ride will stop along some of the Underground Railroad stops in our area. I'm not sure if the people are aware that we do have in our vicinity places that are verified stops on the Underground Railroad, meaning helping enslaved people become free. So one of which is in Rockland near the Palisades Parkway. Another is in Cornwall, where I was a member of the board for the Riverbank Historic House Museum in Cornwall and Hudson. Ms. Susan Glendenning has just verified that one of her houses on her property was a stop on the Underground Railroad. So Chris Holchek posed that idea. We said this is great, let's roll with it. So the motorcycles will meet up, they'll go on this route, then they'll come into town, and when they get here is when the parade starts. Now there's a specific time they're supposed to be here, so we're not gonna sit and wait for them. But when they roll in right on time is when we start to march down the road. And so just to give you a little snapshot of what we intend to do is the motorcycle ride, the parade down Main Street from Southgate to Memorial Park, the annual traditional flag raising of the Juneteenth flag that we always do. And then conclude with a band at the Memorial Park gazebo within the budget that we have already set. Although it's a reduced one this year, we'll figure it out. And I would like to add, if possible, some vendors, hot dog stand, ice cream stand, something. So the people can feel like two things. One, we're celebrating freedom, and it's a great day. But two, this freedom is not just the freedom of slaves in 1865. It's the freedom from having to wear these masks and everything else that we've been experiencing in the last year. And so here's an opportunity to really give our community something to feel good about. And so that also then will be, as we call in the Army, a rock drill or a rehearsal for the September 5th events at West Point to erect a monument to the Buffalo Soldiers. We're going to come back and do a parade down Main Street. But this thing would have allowed us to get one repetition in before that big thing, because that big thing probably is going to have CNN and some other people and a whole bunch of media here. So in conclusion, I just like to say a personal thank you to Ms. Colleen Sloan for her exceptional service, in my opinion. Since I've been on this board, she goes above and beyond the call of duty. She works extremely hard. She takes her job really seriously, and I thank her for that. And as a result, we have a world-class transportation operation in this community, and hopefully we can find somebody to kind of sort of fill her shoes. So that's going to be a tough one. And just a reminder for the Buffalo Soldier Memorial erecting the Buffalo Soldier Memorial. It's September 5th, Labor Day weekend. West Point has not released all the specific timelines. They have not released their guest list at this point. They're working on that. There's rumors that they will invite former presidents back here to participate in this thing. And then our proposal is that the day before they do that, we'll do a community parade here, because these soldiers lived in Highland Falls and Fort Montgomery in our area. We want to honor them as well in a way that we know best. And one last thing I'll say about that, if for some reason West Point denies entrance because of security reasons, what I want to talk to the mayor and probably recreation about is maybe we could put up a screen at Road Park, because they're going to live stream this thing, and maybe the folks who didn't get allowed to come in can go to Road Park and watch it on a big screen outdoors, just like movie night. But we want to give our community the opportunity to feel part of that thing, in my opinion. So, subject to anybody's questions, that's all I have. I know I was giving my counterpart over here a run for his money, but talking along tonight. But I'll pass it on.
Read off those numbers I gave you.
Oh, see, thank you. That's why you're the supervisor.
Yeah.
I got a big one here. Big announcement here. So hats off once again to Aaron Falk, incredible resource here in the community. Last week, when he picked up the food for our food distribution operation for those in need, the numbers we received is that we have given out 107,000 pounds, or 53.5 tons of food to community residents. That's unbelievable. That's an amazing number, right? And all this was funded by grants, and that was at no cost to the taxpayer. And Mary Jane back there can attest to the actual bona fide need in this community during that time frame that was addressed by this right here. So hats off to everybody involved, Mary Jane, all the volunteers. I know Charlene Yield. There's a bunch of you all out there. I've seen many of you. I'm not calling your names, no disrespect, but I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you. Great job.
And I think it's worth mentioning a thank you to the mayor and the village board for allowing this to be done in the senior building despite the rules for seniors only.
I second that.
Okay. Councilman Parry.
I'll keep it short. Just want to acknowledge all the work that's going on in the assessor's office. It's being done quietly, but things are getting ready for the next tax roll. And also remind everyone that with the nice weather, people are putting things out for the sanitation department. Remind them that they have to call up if it's things that are a little bulkier. And just let them know ahead of time. And I'm amazed that they have been keeping the streets clean and looking good. So thank you to them.
And good evening, everyone. Just a few comments. A lot of my comments are going to be about the ambulance corps. That I know we're going to be talking about personnel issues afterwards, so there'll be more to follow with that for the board members. As mentioned, I attended the village board meeting, and what's already been reported on that was well done, and Ty did a good job regarding a lot of the things that he was asked to respond to on that. I would encourage everyone to look at our town Facebook page. I'm trying to get the word out on that. There's a lot of announcements that get placed on that, so do know that the town of Highlands does have a Facebook page, and I would encourage you to look at that. One of the things I think I asked Kelly about on this, first off, good job to her and some others that were involved in the website for the town. What I'd like to suggest, I don't know, maybe this has been thought of before, but we have a vacancy for the dial-a-bus now. We have other vacancies. I'm wondering if it would be a good idea to have on our town Facebook page job opportunities as a way to just get the word out and let people know what that is. And so just
good
just
to
a
you,
comment
Kelly?
about whether or not that would be a good idea.
Yeah, we can do that.
You take care of that page, right?
Yes.
Okay, and also prompted by a couple of residents asking me recently about job opportunities and vacancies within the town. The rumors are going around. Sometimes they pick up snippets of things here and there. So if we have a place for it, I think it would help with that a lot. And I would like to echo a comment that Supervisor made. Last time we met, Mayor of Highland Falls made the same comment at the village board meeting about the need for volunteers for the ambulance corps. Part of that's what we're going to be talking about here in a little bit. But we need drivers. We need drivers desperately for the town of Highlands Ambulance Corps. So please keep that in mind. Great opportunity to volunteer for something that's very, very important for the community. And that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Chief, do you have anything?
No, sir.
Okay.
More to follow.
Okay. About 2 years ago, there was a kiosk down at Brooks's Lake Park that blew over. It had rotted limbs on it, and it blew over, busted up pretty bad. And that was like 2 years ago. I take the blame. In 2 years' time, I never got around to asking Palisades Park Commission to do anything about it. So finally, I went up. I guess I had nothing better to do. I went up there and went to the A building, and I talked to them. And within 2 weeks' time, we've got it built and made and put in the ground, and put in the ground in a manner that it will not blow over because it was cemented into the ground. So the only small glitch on this is I got to find out from them who was going to put the information inside it. That's no big deal. We can or they can, but I just got mad at myself when it happened so quickly. I thought, damn, I could have did this 2 years ago. Richie, I have I don't know if you got this, but if you did, I got a proposal from TAM to supply and install a new hydromatic 3 horsepower grinder pump in the Canterbury road pump station. The price is $9,120. Is that what we need up there?
Yeah, a couple of years ago, when I had more time and ambition, I made an RFP because that plant was pretty much, the plant operator told me, it's done, it's 34 grand to replace it. That was unacceptable. So I drew up a set of plans, put out an RFP, and TAM replaced half of that plant and some of the rotted steel inside of it. There's 2 pumps in there. There's no standby electric up there, and it's not 3-phase. So they're operating on 1 pump right now. We have to replace the other pump, and when they yanked it, they have ears on them so that nobody has to climb down in there, and when they pull it, there's a quick release coupling. That coupling broke. Now it's a confined space. Somebody has to go down there. They have to do bypass pumping while they're working on it to install the new pump. So I didn't get that proposal yet. It's probably in my email somewhere. I'm a little bit disappointed in that price, but it has to be done. And unless it's something where, and Jimmy, the plant operator, kind of looked upon it as being an emergency. The last time the pump hadn't run for 3 months, and we did the RFP. If you'd like to go that route, that means either if I can find the time, which I don't have, or an engineer has to draw up an RFP to put it out as per our procurement policy. So that's kind of my input on that.
So you, and first of all, you may be short of time, but you've never been short of ambition.
Thank you.
Are we going to approve this proposal tonight?
I think we should. And I'm gonna say, let's call it an emergency because there's only 1 pump. There's no standby electric, and if it goes down, we're in trouble. So I would say yes.
Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So carried. All right, blah, blah, blah. Chief, you had nothing? Kelly, you have anything for us? Oh, I got something. Our 4 officers that have retired, do you have their resignations yet?
That's what I delayed Justin here for a few minutes. I think we can talk about that in our executive session.
Okay, because I was hoping to be able to accept the resignations and reappoint them
I was
tonight,
hoping as well, sir.
but we're not going to at this.
Apparently there's a little glitch, but not on our end, but we can discuss it.
All right, okay, then that's fine. Any other general business? I'll ask for a motion to go into executive session for advice from our attorney on ambulance personnel, police personnel, highway personnel, and the sewer plant bond issue.
I made the
Motion.
Second.
Sorry, Ty.
No problem.
Okay, thank you, and we will not be coming back after the
I was a
executive
little
session.
slow.